Hello, everyone. It is Janelle Stewart here. I hope that you are having a wonderful day and you're off to a great start. I would like to share with you today about hormones, meltdowns, and hormones that our children go through. And pretty much by the time they are teenagers, it's like their hormones have gotten to the 10th power and their meltdowns. And so, a lot of times, when you have a teenager, if you have it, or if you don't have a teenager as yet, um, they go through this phase like you're talking to them and they're not even answering. And one minute they're in a good mood, they're happy, they're smiling, they're like, "Hi, mommy, hi, daddy, I'm so happy to see you." And the next minute they're like, "Do you really have to talk to me? Can you just leave me alone?" And it's like you don't know when and how to address them. You don't know if there's ever a right or wrong way to address them or approach them because you feel like it's like a no win with teenagers. Like no matter what you do, you can't win. Well, we can actually help with that. Do you believe me? We can. And we can help with our children with the hormone and the meltdowns before they get to become teenagers. And it's not to say that they won't have hormones, they will because their hormones are out of whack. They're going through puberty. And if you recall going through your teenage years, I'm sure there are times that if whether you admit it or not, there are times that you were unpleasant. I was unpleasant. I remember going through that, and I didn't want to be bothered with my parents. And it's just like to me, parents just did not understand. They didn't understand what I was going through. They didn't understand how I felt, and so I just did not want to talk to them about that. And but why does it have to be that way? It doesn't really. It does not have to be that way. And we can stop that cycle from continuing. And here's how. So, in the beginning, yes, in the beginning, when our children were created, they're created with hormones. Everyone was created with hormones. I was created with hormones. You were created with hormones. And most of their early childhood years, they spend acting out of those hormones. And not only do they spend it, we actually encourage them to acknowledge those hormones. So, for instance, when they're feeling sad or happy or angry or they don't like what someone did, we want them to express that. We tell them, say how you feel. Tell us that you're feeling sad, or tell so and so that you did not like that. So, in those early years, we encourage them to use and to operate outside of that emotional place in their brain, to express and to stand up for themselves and to use their words, right? As opposed to hitting. So there's nothing wrong with that. They've been using that side of their brain, the emotion side of their brain from they were little. And so actually too, we've encouraged them to do that. Their teachers have encouraged them to do that. And so what we're seeing now as they're getting in that teenage years is actually what we have encouraged them to do all this time. And now it's to the 10th power and it's like, okay, how do I manage this? Well, guess what? You know those early years that I'm talking about? During those early years, there's also, it's appropriate for, infant, toddler to encourage them to use their words, to express how they're feeling, to recognize their feelings and how they're feeling and verbalize how they're feeling. But when they come to that 3 to 5 year and beyond that, 6 to 8 years, and what we need to start doing is teach them how to integrate. And it's integrating their brains. So getting them not only to recognize the emotional place, but also to recognize the thinking place. And so there's a thinking side to their brain that's actually using the other side of your brain. And so that's what we want them to do. So that way they can channel their hormones appropriately, right? And so if we talk to them and ask them, what do you think? Right? So if we say to them, well, I hear how you feel, acknowledge your feeling, but what do you think you should do about that? What do you think the solution should be about how you feel or how upset you are about this particular situation? That's how we can approach it from when they're little and start getting them to that thinking place. So when they arrive in the teenage years, then what we're doing is we're also seeing the hormones and they're out of whack and they're flowing everywhere. But then by then our children has also integrated their brains and they're able to think and not act out and respond just out of their emotions. So here's the flip side that I'm going to say to you. Now, girls go through it too. Yes, they do. They just channel that hormone sometimes in a different way than boys. But let me tell you what we don't want with our boys. We don't want them to always operate out of the hormonal place, especially when it comes to them having girlfriends and their hormones are, towards the next person, significant other, and they're coming into a place where they're finding attraction and interest in someone else. We don't want them to only operate in their hormones, if you get what I'm saying. Read between the lines. We don't want them to be thinking, you get what I'm saying, out of their hormones. We call it thinking with the other head back in my days. I don't know if they're saying that now, but in my days, it was like you was thinking with your other head. We don't want them to do that. We actually want them to actually be able to think with their head and use their brain. That's what we want them to do. And so by helping them to integrate and to get to that thinking place, even when they're going through that emotional and their hormones are all out of place and trying to find a common place to express themselves, we want them to be able to think, to do some critical thinking, logical thinking, reasoning, and using their brain for themselves so no one else uses it for them, right? And no other body part uses it for them. So this is what I'm saying to us as parents, right? Let's start today. Start today by helping our kids, no matter what age they are. If you have toddlers, preschoolers, preteens, tweens, like what I have, and teenagers, ask them, what do you think? I see that you're feeling this way. I hear you're upset or irritated, but what do you think should be the solution? And get them to that thinking place. We can help them. We can make it through the stage of the teenage years. And it does not have to be a regretful stage or the stressful, oh my God, somebody save me. It does not have to be that way. And we don't want it to be that way for our children either. We want them to be able to thrive, right? That's my word for this year. We want them to be able to thrive and to become competent, independent, self-assertive adults. And so we want them to be able to get to that thinking place, because guess what? Let me tell you, at the end of it all, you will still have, they'll be adults by age, but you will still have those same teenagers in an adult body. Believe it or not, we will still have teenagers in an adult body and having temper tantrums and not being able to use the thinking side of their brain and just acting out of emotion, even as grown men, and talking about how I feel and how you made me feel and I'm angry about this because you did that. It will still carry on. So let us do them a favor, not just for us, but mainly for them. Let's do them a favor and get them to that thinking place. So that way, we don't see those meltdown and hormones for the rest of their entire life. Are you with me on that today? Shout out a yes in the comment below. And don't forget to like this video, share this video if you know someone that all their kids look like they have is meltdowns and they need to be reminded to get them to that thinking place and integrate their brains. Share it. And don't forget to also subscribe if you haven't already. And don't forget CTA. I'm calling you to action today. Comment below. Say yes if you are with me on doing that today for our children, for their future.